Kyoto University is planning to start the world's first clinical research on a treatment for Parkinson's disease using iPS cells next year. A research group led by Professor Jun Takahashi of the Kyoto University Center for iPS Cell Research and Application made the announcement recently. Currently, no basic treatment is available for Parkinson's. The disease causes limbs to shake and body stiffness. This is due to a drop in the number of brain nerve cells that emit the neurotransmitter dopamine. The research team has already developed a method to safely mass-produce dopamine-making nerve cells using iPS cells. iPS can evolve into any type of body tissue or organs. The group plans to start selecting patients for the clinical testing as early as summer 2015. The team will first create iPS cells based on cells taken from about 6 patients. It will turn the iPS cells into tens of millions of dopamine-producing nerve cells per patient. It will then transplant the nerve cells into damaged parts of the patient's brains. The group will continue to monitor the patients for any abnormality. They hope the research will eventually enable severely ill patients in need of nursing care to look after themselves. Professor Takahashi says his team has established a possible concrete treatment for Parkinson's. He adds that his group wants to begin clinical research as soon as possible. Kabuki actors have signed autographs for charity in Tokyo to help rebuild northern Japan, ravaged by the March 2011 earthquake and tsunami. The event took place at the National Theatre recently. 5 Kabuki actors in their stage outfits signed autographs for fans who won tickets for the event. Among the actors were veteran Nakamura Tokizo and young star Nakamura Mantaro. They also took photos with the fans. Fans put their donations into a collection box. The money will be used for art and cultural activities that support reconstruction efforts. Actor Nakamura Tokizo said they will continue working with fans to help rebuild northern Japan. Similar events will be held on 5 occasions until the current performance ends at the theatre on March 26th. Japan will offer enough polio vaccine for an additional 13 million people to Pakistan, which is struggling to tackle the infectious disease. Japanese ambassador to Pakistan, Hiroshi Inomata, and UNICEF representative in Pakistan, Dan Roman, signed an agreement in Islamabad on March 7th. Japan will provide roughly $3.7 million in unconditional aid to help Pakistan tackle polio. The aid will include vaccine and equipment. Japan has been assisting the polio vaccination program in Pakistan since 1996. Roman said UNICEF appreciates the government and the people of Japan for their dedication and support for Pakistani children. Inomata said Japan, Pakistan and the international community must keep working to eradicate polio for future generations. Children are especially vulnerable to the disease, which can cause paralysis in limbs and other effects. Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nigeria are the only nations that remain polio endemic. Islamist extremists have been obstructing vaccination campaigns, especially in Pakistan, which has reported 26 cases of polio infection already this year. Japanese high school students took part in a Korean language speech contest in Tokyo recently. 32 students participated in the annual contest. They were selected from 476 people. A female student said her interest in Korean culture was sparked when her father took her to a Korean restaurant. She said the food was so good that she decided to learn more about Korean culture. She said Japanese and South Koreans should get to know each other and not hold prejudices. Another student talked about her trip to South Korea. She said she saw many young South Koreans offering their seats to elderly people on trains, and that inspired her to help people in her own country. Others talked about their experiences living with South Korean host families and their interest in Korean pop culture. One female participant said that although relations between the countries appear to be difficult, she will cherish her South Korean friends. The digital age, along with PCs, tablets and laptops, has effectively sounded the death knell for the traditional typewriters. It could also mean unemployment for the typists who sit outside courtrooms in India daily typing up documents manually. Professional street typists setting up outside High Court was once a common scene in Kolkata. Before the arrival of computers, hundreds of trained typists would click away busily on their machines as customers queued to get their legal documents typed up. Now, only a few remain. Shakti Sengupta is one of them. Each morning, she sets up her office outside the High Court, as she has been doing this for the past 10 years. Sengupta used to work as a receptionist, but trained to become a typist when the profession was still in demand. She also holds typing classes at home to supplement her income. But with dwindling demand, Sengupta says it is harder than ever to make ends meet. She says she's aware that her career is heading for a full stop and that eventually all typists will be unemployed. The typists occupy a tiny lane near the High Court, catering to lawyers and petitioners who want manually typed documents. High Court lawyer Ramani Gosal says she uses the typists because she does not want to take work away from them. Until the early 2000s, typewriting courses and certificates were sought after and even mandatory for young professionals seeking employment at government and private companies in India. Nowadays, companies look for computer literacy, and most youngsters graduating today will never have even seen a typewriter. At this computer school, dozens of students walk in after their regular school hours to learn computer skills. Typewriters were not fast enough for the new generation, says Arita Sen, a student of the Computer Institute. In sharp contrast to the brimming computer school is Ratu Bika Shakar's old and run-down typewriting institute. Saka still runs the institute, though he hardly has any students who are willing to learn typewriting. But he says he has no plans to close completely anytime soon. Saka keeps himself busy fixing the typewriters. As the companies that manufacture these typewriters close down and with no availability of new spare parts, the mechanics also shut shops, leaving people like Sakar to mend their machines themselves. A number of Iranian nomad tribes have flocked to the capital, Tehran, to take part in a festival to display their different lifestyles. About 100 nomad tribes from Lorestan, Kermanshah, Semnan, Qum, Fars, Ardebil, Golestan, and several other provinces attended the festival held in Tehran. Organized by the Cultural Heritage Tourism and Handicrafts Organization, or CHTHO, the outdoor festival features nomadic dance, music, exhibitions, and handicraft displays that allow visitors to explore and learn a different way of life and national history. While Iran is home to one of the world's oldest civilizations, as well as having its first dynasty established in 2800 BC, the festival represents Iran's divergent culture and vast heritage once again. Lake Urumia in Iran is one of the largest saltwater lakes on Earth, but in the past decade, it has shrunk by more than 80% to just 1,000 square kilometers. Experts claim it's due to climate change, expanded irrigation for surrounding farmland, and the construction of dams on feeder rivers. Salt-covered rocks, once deep underwater, now sit in the middle of this desert. Experts now fear the lake, which was famous in the past as a tourist spot and stopping point for migrating flamingos, pelicans and gulls, could disappear completely within 2 years if nothing is done. Local taxi driver Yahya Boluri remembers the lake in its heyday. He has worked as a driver for 27 years, taking tourists to see one of Iran's most beautiful natural wonders. He said in the past, when the lake was alive, there were fantastic views and a lot of tourists were pouring in there, and it had wildlife and migrating birds used to fly there, and the view was amazing. Rescuing this lake was a campaign promised by new Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. At an international conference in Urumia this week, Issa Kalantari, a popular scholar appointed by Rouhani to lead the rescue team, reiterated the president's promise to revive the lake. The gathering brought together university scholars and experts from Iran and around the world to discuss the best options available to reverse the trend and save Iran from a major environmental and economic disaster. 5 universities in Iran are now involved in developing potential solutions with Kalantari and his team, due to finalize their rescue plans by May. Raising public awareness, encouraging farmers to abandon wasteful irrigation practices from sources feeding the lake and growing crops that consume less water are among plans pursued by the government to reverse the disastrous trend. Here in the nearby village of Govarchinghale, there was once a population of around 1,000 people a decade ago. Now, only 300 live here. Where there were once just 3 schools, now only 1 is open to teach just a dozen students. Ali Hazrati farms the land along with his brother and his father Nader. Together they grow grapes in their orchards. Salt winds driving off the lake and through the area have damaged 80% of them. The area was once green farming land, and now drinking water has been seriously affected too because of the shrinking lake waters. Even the wells that he and his family use are not as effective. Despite the damage, they are still hopeful the Iranian government can save the area with a new irrigation system implemented in other villages. The government has already begun a project to raise public awareness and teach farmers how to turn to drip irrigation systems to save water and reduce waste. Among other efforts to save the lake is a cloud seeding program intended to increase rainfall in the area. Another is supplying the lake with remote sources of water. Local residents, Mr. Asude and his wife, Mrs. Agadashi from nearby city Tabriz, have not visited the lake for a while and they were shocked by how it has changed. While many place blame on the environmental issues, others blame this new highway built right through the middle of the lake for some of the damage. Having taken around 20 years to build, it connects the 2 major cities of Tabriz and Urmia. Many say the construction methods, which use dropping large amounts of earth into the lake, damage some springs which allow water to flow into the area. Others blame the 42 dams which have been constructed or are now under construction in the area. Water irrigation specialist Jaber Khadivi says the problem is certainly getting worse. This lake is not the only place in Iran that is facing a water shortage. Smaller lakes in other parts of Iran are also facing a similar crisis, although not as severe. Even residents of Tehran experience water shortages at weekends, and authorities are making plans for possible rationing in the capital. Authorities have warned of a national disaster in the coming decade if water resources are not preserved and consumption patterns are not managed properly.